everybody. Welcome back to Once Upon a Vanlife. In this episode, we're going to tell you about our second half of our trip to California. So here it is.
Stay tuned. After camping for a week or two in Morro Bay and Pismo Beach, we headed for the mighty Los Angeles. Again, beautiful drive down the coast on the way. We actually saw an area where you could camp right on the beach, which we didn't know about at the time. Only kicker, there was only porta potties, which really isn't the greatest facilities, but we might check that out next time. But then we got to Los Angeles and we weren't really sure what to expect. We weren't sure how van friendly it would be, but it was actually much more van friendly than we expected.
Yeah.
We stayed at this really cool campground called the Hollywood RV Park, and it's right in Los Angeles.
It was in North Hollywood, so it was kind of up on the mountain on the other side.
Van Nuys, and it made it a lot better because if anyone's been to Los Angeles, they know that the traffic is immense. So at least we were in the city starting each day. We didn't have to drive from outside the city in, so that saved us at least an hour each day. And this park was so cool.
It'd been there since like the 50s, right? And the nicest guy ran in. There's like all these murals, like a Wizard of Oz. And
everything was movie themed, and each campsite had like a backboard that had a beautiful mural on it. At the end of each road, there was a beautiful mural. Amazing facilities, like
good
really,
showers, like
good
the internet was awesome. It was great. It was like kind of right when baseball started too, so
and they catered to the movie industry. So there was a lot of people staying there long term. They did monthly as well that were actors or people trying to get into movies, crew members. Right next door there was actually like a studio where they filmed MasterChef, and what was the other one? Hell's Kitchen. So that was literally right next door to us. It was just such a cool experience. I highly recommend it for the $50 or $60 a night that we paid. Now that's American, of course. What a great place. Like they printed out some documents we needed at the office. They were so friendly. Highly recommend Hollywood RV Park. Check it out if you're in Los Angeles.
So we were there for like 5 days, and the first day we were going to go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but we drove to the street and it was just like parking was like $25. There was garbage everywhere.
A lot of homeless people, unfortunately.
It wasn't worth it for us. So we just kept going. We ended up going to Santa Monica Beach, which was way better.
The complete opposite.
Yeah.
It was immaculate. Beautiful. There was RV parking that I think we paid $8 for the whole afternoon.
You saw like the pier, the Santa Monica Pier, and there's a little shopping area which we walked, and we had a beer, and we were able to bring this guy.
So we had a beer and some taco chips.
And we were going to go to the Hollywood sign, but it was just like going to be like a 2-hour walk, and it was like, you know, already 25, 29 degrees, and this guy's not going to last. So it's just going to be me dragging him and not a fun time. So we decided not to do that. But the second day we went to Beverly Hills.
Oh, that was so cool. Hendrix walked down Rodeo Drive. Again, we found parking no problem. Right across from Rodeo Drive, there's a big long park that runs all the way down the street and a residential area, and it's free 2-hour parking. So we just parked there, walked over, and Rodeo Drive isn't really my cup of tea. I'm not like a high-end clothing person, but it was still a really cool experience because they filmed all sorts of movies for me. I thought of Mighty Ducks. They go to Rodeo Drive. Rodeo Drive, right? I couldn't help it, but Hendrix walked around again. Everyone was looking at him. He's always the life of the party.
It was cool just to kind of go there and
very posh, but very cool. One of those experiences. If you're going to Los Angeles, you got to go walk on Rodeo Drive.
And then the next day, we went to Dodger Stadium. I wanted to go to a game, but the logistics wouldn't really work out. So we went outside of it. I thought I was gonna be able to see the stadium, but it's built into like a hill and like up on just outside of the city. An amazing view.
So when you walk up and you go up like one flight of stairs to where the gift shop is, you're actually at the top of the stadium at that point.
It's very cool.
We couldn't really see in, but we did go into the store that was there. We bought Josh's dad a gift and had a few pictures.
Baseball
outside.
Mecca. It's one of the most famous stadiums, so it was cool to go to. But definitely when we go back to LA, I want to go to a game for sure.
And then we had lunch at a park that was just outside Dodger Stadium, which was pretty nice too.
Yeah. And then the next day we went up into Laurel Canyon, which kind of divides North Hollywood with Hollywood.
Yeah.
And Laurel Canyon, just a little backstory, is basically like in the 60s where all the movie stars and musicians moved up and bought their houses, and amazing views. Like Neil Young lived there, the Beach Boys, like it's just insane. Probably movie stars probably still live there, but it's just crazy. All the houses that are built on top of this giant canyon.
And we drove through like the Hollywood Hills, and it's all these like crazy little roads and all these houses built into everywhere. Again, we have a bit of like a time-lapse video we can throw in, but it was kind of funny in the van because we were almost too big to be going through some of the streets, but we did it anyway.
And at the bottom of the hill is Sunset Boulevard, which has got Whiskey A Go-Go I wanted to go to, the Roxy, which is a famous bar, the Comedy Store, which like Pauly Shore's mom and like all these comics come up. A lot of cool places, but we got to go to the Rainbow Room, which is a very famous bar where Lemmy from Motorhead, if you guys don't know who that is, he used to live around the corner, rest in peace. But he used to go there like every day. Like he literally had like a corner there that if you went there, he'd just take your picture as long as you didn't bug him. He just said, hey, whatever. But it was a very cool bar. They had all these monuments and all these pictures up.
There's a huge life-size statue of Lemmy on the patio. Dog-friendly again, and they were so accommodating. Not just accommodating. They let the dog in to like the covered patio area, which often he's only allowed like on the outskirts. They brought him water. They brought him chicken. They brought him toys. Like
it was insane.
I couldn't believe it.
His name's Hendrix, which is funny because Lemmy used to roadie for Hendrix, so that's why we thought the connection was cool
and
there.
And lots to look at.
Yeah.
Huge photo frames full of all the famous
Lennon
people
was there,
that had ever been
Ozzy,
there.
like it just goes on and on.
Like you're literally sitting there going, I wonder who sat on this bar stool before me.
Inside the bar was like so dingy, but like the history, you could just feel it, right?
Yeah,
but,
it was a really,
so
really cool experience. And anyone who knows Lemmy would appreciate that. It was really cool. Sunset Boulevard, believe it or not, back to the parking, we parallel parked right on Sunset Boulevard for less than $10 again. So people that are interested in taking your van there, it's actually more van friendly than
you would
thought.
think.
And we found out afterwards from someone we met down the road that there's all these unmarked roads in Los Angeles that you can actually park on overnight. So although we paid for a campground, we probably could have boondocked it if we had actually looked ahead a little bit farther. And if we ever go back, we might try that.
So after LA, we headed up the middle of California and took us through these giant mountains on the highway. It was beautiful. Drops you down to this desert going towards, you go through Bakersfield. And we went up to Fresno where we stayed at a Harvest Host called 559 Beer, which was very cool. This little... where the brewery was like, it looked like a little old western town, this street.
It did.
It was crazy. And at night, all the lights and all the people,
it was in a historic home, so a giant 2-story house with wraparound porches on it is where the brewery was. Brewery and restaurant.
And there was live music, too, which was very cool.
We rolled in at about 7 o'clock that night, and there was a live band playing right on the street at the bar, and we had some really great spring rolls, and we tried a flight of beer, and it was a great experience. Fresno actually was a lot nicer than we thought. Like there was so much to offer. There's multiple little downtown cores that each kind of cater to different audiences. It was a cool place. We really liked Fresno.
And then we we were trying to go to Yosemite National Park. So we ended up going to another Harvest Host in Oakhurst, this little mountain town. It was a little place called Wine Tales where they had a whole bunch of dog stuff and wine, so we just had some beers there and met some people, had a talk, and it was great.
It was a really good evening.
So the next day we woke up and went camping for a few days in a place called Bass Lake, which was about 20 minutes from there, and on this beautiful lake, crazy little campground, except...
It was about 40 minutes from Yosemite. And so the first day we got to Bass Lake, we explored the lake area. We went to a little bar and had a beer. They actually had a dog menu, so I ordered the dog a hot dog because I'd never seen a dog menu. And we just hung out the first day. And then we got up on Tuesday morning and thought, we're going to Yosemite. And we pack up everything and we pull out of the campsite, and our tire indicator comes on, and we get out and look, and we have a flat
tires.
It's almost completely flat.
Yeah.
Luckily, we carry a very small compressor with us. The cord wasn't long enough, so we had to enlist some guys with a pickup truck to help us. Bottom line, we got air into the tire and decided we could make it the 20 kilometers back to Oakhurst, called the tire place, and they said, yeah, come on in. So we drove back to Oakhurst. We made it no problem, pulled in. The guy said, go have lunch. There's a brewery down the road. I'll see what's wrong with the truck. Well, it wasn't actually the tire. We had somehow actually cracked the wheel
which,
itself.
like, the guy didn't even know how he did it. He'd never even heard of it.
And he goes, like, off-roading and stuff, this guy, and he's like, I've never even seen someone do this off-roading. Now, we have taken our van a lot of different places. We did, as we told you, got stuck halfway up a mountain, did a bunch of things. So my guess
Could
is
be anything,
we
right?
damaged it at some point. The kicker was, though, he said, I'll put the donut on for you, and at least you can drive the van for 24 hours while we wait for the part to get couriered from Fresno, because this little town doesn't just have Mercedes parts sitting around. Except our donut was rotted out underneath too, which we didn't realize. So at this point, we're just stuck for 48 hours.
We had to leave the van at the tire place, and we got a hotel for 2 days.
Walked to the hotel.
Yeah, we literally, like, this was only one street, so we were literally just walking back.
We thrifted, we got a pizza the next day, but we were kind of stuck there for 2 days, and it was a bit of a damper because at this point, we're like 40 miles from Yosemite.
But the cool part was like one night, the second night, I like wake up, I go to close the door because we had the hotel room open, and there's just like all these deers,
like 40 of them.
It's crazy. Sam and I got a video of it. We'll put it
right
after.
in the parking lot of the hotel.
It was awesome.
Really
they're looking
incredible.
at us. We were on the second floor, so we were just on our balcony looking, but it was very cool. It was hilarious. They're all just walking around. We probably watched them for like 20 minutes, right?
So
they're all coming down. Hendrix and
sleeping on the bed. There's got to be 20 of them.
Yeah, they're all chasing each other. Very cool.
Hey, bud. Yeah, you're like right there. Hey, pal.
Right.
So then now we're at Thursday at this point, and we get up and we're gung-ho. Like, we get the van back. Josh picks it up very early. We are going to Yosemite. Like, we've gotten there on Saturday night at this point, and we haven't made it to Yosemite yet. So pushing a week. So we get in and we start driving to Yosemite. And when we left Oakhurst, it was kind of rainy. It was maybe like 10, 12, 15 degrees. Not as nice. The day before had been like 27, like hot and sunny. So as we're getting closer and closer to Yosemite, and we're actually going up a mountain towards I think it's the south entrance, if I'm correct, it starts to snow. And we're kind of laughing because,
like, whatever, it doesn't matter to
like
us.
yesterday
We're from
it was
Canada.
28.
We don't care. Right?
As we're coming up to the front gate, we're super excited because we had heard that Yosemite was so busy. You can be backed up for hours to get in the gate. There's like 2 cars ahead of us, and we're like, oh my God, this is so cool. Snow or not, like, we are going hiking today. This is going to be fantastic. We pull up and the girl literally looks at me and goes, I have nothing but bad news for you. And I'm like, oh no. So first she says to us, if you want in the park, you need to put tire chains on. Not a problem. We have those. Like, we can pull over and put those on. And she goes, and actually there's a multi-vehicle accident a few miles up, and all you can get into is just the first little valley. You have to go to the next entrance if you want to access like where Dome and all the big mountains are and the waterfalls. And we go, okay, where's that? It's an hour and a half away. Like, not just the next entrance. We're talking like 7 towns over. Like, it's a really long way. So we end up driving back to Oakhurst for the 4th time at this point.
And we had to stay there, essentially, like, pretty much, right?
So we spent the afternoon actually filming a video and hanging out by Bass Lake again. But at this point, we're super disappointed. We've tried to go to Yosemite twice, and we have not gotten there. Now, things do get better, don't worry. On the Friday, the next morning, we were actually going to Groveland, which was towards that next entrance to the park that they wanted us to go to the day before, to meet Josh's dad in an Airbnb for the weekend. And we were really excited because at this point we just wanted to relax, have a hot shower, get over the week that had been a bit of a hullabaloo. Like, we didn't know what had just happened. So we get there and we actually joked with Manny on the Friday night. We said, we've tried to get to Yosemite. We have not had good luck. We think we're cursed. Maybe the 3rd time's a charm. And lo and behold, Saturday morning, we finally made it.
So finally on the Saturday, we took my dad to Yosemite National Park, and man, was it insane. Like, you got to basically, you go in this entrance, you kind of go for this long, windy road into the park, and it's kind of packed already. It's a Saturday basically the spring is starting, and man, you're just rewarded for going there.
The views are
pull up to this one spot, and it's like snowy, and you look down at this giant valley. It's just mind-blowing. Like, it's so crazy. But you keep going down, and just so many lookouts. Like, you stop. The second one we stopped at was like everyone's pulled over. It's just this giant canyon. There's a waterfall like far away, and just insane. A river that runs through the valley, and crazy. Just blew my mind.
We saw people rock climbing these massive rock faces that were just, there's the Captain and Dome, which are two of the really big mountains.
You drive down in the valley, and yeah, like the mountains are all surrounded, and packed though. Like, it's so packed. Like, so many people, right? Like,
and this was early in the season, so yeah. I highly recommend, if you're ever going to go to Yosemite, go in the spring or the fall, because
you have to make a reservation for it, apparently.
Yeah, from May to September you actually have to register just to get in the front gate, and those registration spots sell out in like a day.
Yeah,
so it is one of the biggest tourist attractions in the country, but it's well worth it if you can make it in. The only sad thing was there was a lot of areas that unfortunately had been burned by forest fire, and we've got some really cool photos of burned out stumps and things we'll put in. But we actually went just before lunch for a little walk, and there was signs saying, like, please stay on the trail because there's still hot ash.
Yeah, and that was like last year where that stuff was on fire.
So these things smolder and smolder, and like we went to the redwood grove, and again, like, huge trees burnt down. So if anyone goes there, please just be very careful. No flicking cigarette butts, and be very courteous.
You shouldn't even smoke there. Like, you don't even smoke there. Like, it's not worth it.
It had a lot of damage already, which was really sad. It was cool, but it was sad.
Magnificent though. Like, honestly beautiful. Like, next time we'd like to go camping there. Like, we
meant to spend more than one afternoon there as our adventure, we've told you. But camping would be very, very cool. And from there, we had one more quick stop. We left Yosemite and we stopped around Mount Shasta for one more night before leaving,
which is like in the northern part of going up, we're heading back to Canada. And yeah, Mount Shasta was just this giant mountain. Like, there's just mountains everywhere, really. But we stopped at this park, and just insane. Apparently it's like a dormant volcano, and it's so crazy. It's cool too. When we were driving through Northern California, there's just mountain ranges, and the pictures, we'll put them up, but it's hard to see. You can see like different ranges, and as the further it goes, the bigger they get. The front ones have no snow, but then the back ones do, and it just blows your mind because you're driving in the desert,
You're in a desert valley. The first mound of mountains are desert. Like, there's sand and sparse trees, but then there's snowy mountains behind them. When they say that you can surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon in California, they are not exaggerating. But that kind of wrapped up our California adventures.
So awesome. Like, definitely an experience. So if you haven't been to Cali, you should go.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be a Once Upon a Vanlife video without a story from the road. So when we were staying at the Hollywood RV park, it was very tight. So tight that the owners actually would come and help you park your RV. And if it was any bigger than 25 feet, they had a dolly and like a forklift, and they would actually unattach it from your truck, attach it to the forklift, and they would pull it and park it in your spot for you because it's so tight. And we saw that the hard way for somebody. They
had a big camper, giant,
like bus-sized camper, and they had stayed there the night before and left. And Josh and I had noticed they'd left 2 lawn chairs, but then all of a sudden there was different people in their campsite.
When we came back, right?
So we're sitting and having a beer, and we were right on the corner, and this was right across on the next corner, and the bathrooms are here. And as these people returned, because we knew they'd left camp chairs on the site, they're pulling past, and the driver's looking over at his campsite like, what the heck? There's someone else parked on my site. So he pulls up to pull over in front of the bathrooms, and then just backs up full tilt into an SUV.
Car.
Crash.
Like we're like watching it like it's happening. We're like, oh,
and we're so
it's
stunned.
happening.
It was one of those moments, it almost ran slow motion in your mind. You couldn't even get words out to yell in time before he backed this bus-size SUV or bus-size RV right into the front of an SUV. And the kicker was he got out, looked at the SUV, dusted off his own bumper, and left.
Yeah, I guess he went to go talk to the owners, and they just never came back. So I don't know if they screwed up their reservation or something, or they thought they booked 2 days or something. But yeah, they never came back, and we couldn't really.
And we didn't even really know who the SUV belonged to, because around the bathroom, people would park their extra vehicles that didn't fit on their site. So we have no idea who the SUV belonged to. The owners of the campground were aware of what happened, like somebody told them, but those people never came back, and they left. So we did feel kind of bad for the owners of the SUV, because they would have just come back at some point and there would have been damage to the front of their vehicle. There actually wasn't as much damage as we had originally thought there would be. By the sound and the impact, you would have thought the whole front end would have been crunched in, but there was actually just like one dent from where the bumper had come in, and it was only about this big. So they got off really lucky.
I think he was just so distracted by somebody who was in their spot, and it was a rented RV as well too, and so he's not that great at driving it, and it happens. But you got to pay attention when you drive.
But it was an interesting experience, and that's this time's
Story from the Road.
Well, thanks for following our California adventures. That's all we've got for you today, but make sure you come back, click and like so you get a notification for next time. And if you haven't already, go check out all of our Canadian adventures too. We've been coast to coast in Canada because we have some really great adventures. So have a great day, and thanks for watching.
Bye.